Hello, this is Archie Dunlop with Talking Astrology with Archie on Monday, April the 10th, 2023. One of the things astrologers do is they set up charts for events. It's called electional astrology. You elect to do something at a particular time. So, as an astrologer, I am sometimes consulted by people who want to know, when should something happen? When should I move into a house? When should I get married? Marriage, yes, I did help someone once choose the timing of their marriage. It was a long time ago. I don't think I'm betraying any confidences talking about it because it's untraceable. But I chose a time for someone to get married. But what I do know about the day I chose, that it was raining all day. Now, just because it was raining doesn't mean they didn't have a happy marriage. Maybe it was a good thing it was raining. But I would guess that if you have a wedding, you don't want it to rain. So short term, my election must have been quite disastrous. But hopefully it was more profound from that. I'm hoping that that the marriage was, and it was or is, long and happy. Another thing you might consider is, when you're going to a party. Yesterday I talked about Titanic, who was murdered in St. Petersburg. He went to a club. He went to a club when the moon was applying to an opposition of Saturn. Was that wise? Well, as I said, I wouldn't have thought that moon opposition Saturn indicated he was going to die, but might have indicated he was going to have a bad time. But certainly in retrospect, that moon opposition Saturn wasn't great. Another thing one might consider is going on a boat trip. The start of that boat trip is going to be important. And today, April the 10th, 2023, is the 111th anniversary of the maiden voyage of the Titanic. Not the launch had already happened, but the actual first and only commercial voyage of the Titanic. So on April the 10th, 1912, at around noon, it set sail from Southampton. And I'm going to look at the chart. So here is the chart for this event. Is it important? Anything worth looking at? The moon is at 2936 Capricorn. In other words, the moon has made its last aspect before leaving the sign. In other words, the moon is void of course. It's going nowhere. And I suppose the Titanic was void of course. It was going nowhere. It was certainly not going to reach its destination. But the moment the moon left the sign, it went straight to a conjunction with Uranus. Uranus is a planet of earthquakes, accidents, disasters, that kind of thing. So I think that Moon-Uranus conjunction, even though the moon is in Capricorn and Uranus is in Aquarius, really summed up what was going on. That showed the fact that it was a really sort of ill-fated voyage. We might also notice that Venus is on a fixed star called Skeet. And Skeet was on a fixed star called Skeet. And Skeet is often associated with shipwrecks, shipping disasters, and that kind of thing. I'm not going to go on about this chart, but I just want to show you, particularly after I was talking about Titanic and his murder, when I was talking about it yesterday, you can think about whether it's the right thing to do, whether something is the right thing to do, whether you should go to an event. look at, always, look at the stars for the beginning of that event. Though I'm wary when people ask about surgery. People do sometimes ask me about that. And I always want to know what kind of surgery it is. If you're dealing with cosmetic surgery, when it doesn't really matter when you have it, then yes, by all means, look at astrology. You don't want Venus, the planet of beauty, to be in a terrible situation. For example, in Scorpio retrograde conjunct the Sun, you could ward people off. On the other hand, if it's essential surgery that needs to be done quickly, then really that's not a place for astrology. It's just got to be done. So I would, when I'm asked about that kind of surgery, I step back and I don't give any opinion. Now, as far as today's stars are concerned, let me just show you how I set this up, by the way. So, which, because I haven't already, today is Monday. It's April the 10th. And we're gonna go for noon. I have to go for noon because I need some mean time for when it's actually going to happen and where. Well, New York, why not? So let's do that. Okay, then we do this. So I'm sorry about all of this. I should have done it beforehand. Anyway, that's a chart for today. Noon, April the 10th, 2023. And I think it's great. I think today is, for many of us, is going to be great. Reason being is that the moon is in Sagittarius. It's past the square to Saturn, and it's making a favourable aspect to the moon and Jupiter. As I've said before, the moon making a trine aspect of the sun is good. It's life enhancing. In ancient astrology, the sun and moon together, was about life. When a child was born, you wanted that child to have the best chance, and you could get that. Certainly, according to the Greek astrologer Ptolemy, you could get that when the moon and sun were well configured, and so that's what you've got. So the moon, it makes a trine to the sun, and then it makes a trine to Jupiter. And this is just incredibly fortunate, and I think one doesn't really have to look much beyond that in terms of trying to understand what's going on today. So if you're planning on putting something into action today, now might be the time to do it. Because moon aspecting the sun, aspecting Jupiter, one can always find a better time, but yeah, I think it's a good day. I think there's going to be a lot of happiness, a lot of excitement, and a lot of good fortune. But I should point out that planet Venus is about to change sign. So Venus has been in Taurus for some weeks. Now it's going to move into Gemini, and that's a very different energy. Venus in Taurus is all about stability. It's about loyalty. It's about sensuality. When it goes into Gemini, it becomes a bit more crazy. It wants variety. Not quite as loyal, not quite as faithful. So that's something to consider. What else? Oh yes, Uranus is on the Mars-Neptune midpoint. There's Uranus, and the Mars-Neptune midpoint, I think it's conjunct the Mars-Neptune midpoint. What does that mean? Well, I always associate Mars and Neptune with sleaze. Mars and Neptune is the underside of society. It can relate to drugs, alcohol, prostitution, whatever. Of course, with alcohol, it depends where you are in terms of alcohol being sleazy. In America, where I am here, alcohol often is regarded as being sleazy. It's like you have to be 21 to drink. In England, you only have to be 18. The other place where I remember alcohol being sleazy was when I was in India. It was a long time ago, but getting a drink was often quite difficult in India. It wasn't just something you could just do. It depends on the state, because different states have different laws. But, I remember, you'd often go for a beer in some dark basement. I don't know what it's like now, because I haven't been to India for decades, but it depends where you are. But sleaziness can raise its head when you least expect it. That is because, Uranus, a planet of surprises, is on the Mars-Neptune midpoint. So you might be doing something very boring, very ordinary, when suddenly something happens. Someone does something, maybe, connected with drugs or alcohol or something else, even darker, and you just don't expect it. It's the last thing you expect, but it suddenly happens. Or you see something on the street where you think, wow, that's really weird. Or something like that. So keep a lookout for that. And when you see something weird crop up, probably best to just look away and move on. Now, as far as the 12 signs are concerned, I am more positive than I have been of late. So let's have a look. Aries, 4 stars. A change of philosophy brings a change of luck. Taurus, 3 stars. The train is leaving the station. Now, the reason I say that, if you're a Taurus, is because Venus, which is your ruling planet, is about to leave your star sign. And, Venus in your star sign has been good. I hope it's been good. But it's about to leave. So maybe there are things you need to sort out now before Venus moves into Gemini. Gemini, 5 stars. Partners and lovers bring luck. Cancer, 2 stars. Physically, you mustn't push it. Leo, 5 stars. A free flow of energy. Virgo, 3 stars. Home is where you're happiest. Libra, 4 stars. Recent complications are easing. Scorpio, 4 stars. Money-wise, you're sharp and lucky. Sagittarius, 3 stars. Excitement and even romance. But your judgment is clouded. And I'm saying that because the sun is getting awfully close to Jupiter, your ruling planet. And as I've said, the sun is hot. It can burn things up and it can cloud people's vision. Capricorn, 2 stars. Let other people have their fun. Aquarius, 4 stars. Friends and conversation. Pisces, 4 stars. At work, you can be successful if you're discreet. Finally, I'm going to talk about the I Ching. As usual, I cast the coins and I got hexagram number 25, the unexpected, but it's locked. By locked, I mean it's not moving anywhere. So the unexpected means that, if we want something good to happen, we need to not think about it too much. Just let it happen. Just relax. Be true to ourselves, and maybe something great will happen. However, there is a danger, but we have to wait longer than we expect. So if you're expecting something to happen, you not only must stop expecting something to happen, you must stop expecting something to happen for longer than you wanted. So you've got to just, you've got to be cool and relaxed and whatever. And if you think, and I think in many cases, if something isn't happening, it's because of a problem that is not our fault. And the I Ching tells us that if we have a problem that is not our fault, we shouldn't try to fix it, because it's not our fault, it's someone else's fault. Let the outside world sort it out for us. And I think that when that problem resolves itself through, I think, other people seeing the light, other people behaving sensibly, or simply fate changing, as soon as it resolves, we'll get what we're looking for, and that event which we were so anxious for will materialize, but in its own time. Anyway, that is all I'm going to say for today, and I will see you tomorrow.